The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X-Zone. This is the final hour of tonight's show, and my guest this hour is Douglas DeLong. And Douglas is a medical intuitive, spiritual teacher, counselor, and past life therapist. Let me see, he has written 3 books distributed internationally on the subjects of ancient healing, spirituality, reincarnation, and psychic development. He and his wife Carol DeLong operate DeLong Ancient Mystery School, where they teach courses in spiritual and psychic development, ancient healing techniques, past life therapy training, and Reiki. They also deliver a menu of personal services and travel throughout North America and Hawaii teaching those courses. The DeLong Ancient Mystery School has received students from all over the world. Joining me now from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan at the DeLong Ancient Mystery School is Douglas DeLong. And Douglas, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Great. Thanks for having me back on, Rob. I look forward to it all.
One of the major topics that people keep talking about now is reincarnation. Why do you think there's such a resurgence or a sudden interest in reincarnation, Douglas?
Well, I think people are exploring their spirituality more and more all the time, and as they do, one thing they look at is reincarnation, and they start questioning, have I lived before? Mm-hmm. And more people are finding out that, yeah, they have. They can do certain techniques to explore it. And it's interesting when you realize that you're an eternal soul and you come back lifetime after lifetime. And it just makes things different. But more people are awakening to the possibility that they have lived before.
Why do we keep coming back time and time and time again?
Well, we come back time and time again to get it right, so to speak. It's part of our spiritual growth, spiritual involvement. And as we do things, we learn from our mistakes, we grow, and we're a culmination of all our past lives. Our soul has everything in us from previous lifetimes that we bring forward, our learnings, our problems, our errors, and we fix them all. And eventually we get to the point where we become more enlightened. And as you become more enlightened, you can go back to heaven when you pass on, and you can stay there. So you try to break that cycle of coming back, life, death, rebirth, over and over. And finally you get to that point. And that's what everybody's supposed to be doing. And you become like, say, Jesus or Buddha, and you get to the point where you've got all your lessons and you're very, very highly evolved, and you go from there.
You know, how did you get interested in the work that you're doing? What was it that happened in your life that opened up the door to you wanting to teach?
Well, I was always fascinated by psychic phenomena, UFOs, and everything. As a kid, I used to get right into it, read as many books as I could and just find out what I could about all these subjects. And as I got into the psychic stuff, I started getting past life recall, and I just started reading about it, and particularly Edgar Cayce, The Sleeping Prophet, was fascinating. I read some of his books and some of the sessions that he did with people, and he even talked about the time of Jesus. So it was quite fascinating when I read a lot of the Edgar Cayce material, and I think that helped draw me towards it. And as a kid, I used to see spirit guides and angels floating around. In the middle of the night, I'd wake up and there they were. So that kind of helped me too. So all of that put together, and it put me onto the path, and eventually I became a past life therapist.
Are children more susceptible to the paranormal, including the recall of past lives, than adults?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most adults have a wall comes up. They're not as open. Right. A lot of children are still wide open. They have the part of the brain that's open. It has the creativity, imagination, and it thrives, flourishes in them. Men and women, as they get older, particularly like 21 and up, they seem to shut down part of that area of their brain, and they're not as psychic and spiritual. But a lot of kids are wide open. Whenever I've done work on kids, I've done hypnotherapy work or counseling work, and they seem to go deep very quickly. They'll see and meet their angels, talk to them, and a lot of them will actually get past life information. I had one boy, his parents brought me to see me years ago, and they were concerned because he was into mechanics and engineering, reading Mechanics Illustrated books. So I worked with him, and all of a sudden he went back in time, and he was in Calgary. This is like the late 60s, early 70s. He's talking about the auto shop he works in and his Mustang car and the Beatles music and everything he's listening to. Meanwhile, this is a kid that now would have been about 12 years old, and he wouldn't have known a lot of that stuff there, but he's talking about everything, about the shop he worked in, where he lived in Calgary. Then he also said he was going to take his car out on the highway, so he does, and he ends up getting in a car accident, driving too fast. Car crashes onto the side of the road, and that's how he remembers dying. And when I brought him out of it, suddenly his parents realized that, yeah, that's a past life influencing him, and he wants to become a mechanical engineer, then why not go for it? But it was amazing. He's talking about what the garage or shop looked like and what his car looked like and the music he was listening to. It was like he was right there. It was quite amazing.
All right, Douglas, stand by, my friend. You and I have to take a short break. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour is Douglas DeLong. And Douglas and his wife Carol operate the DeLong Ancient Mystery School. Their website is www.douglasdelong.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this short break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com. Introducing Just Like Sugar. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural zero-calorie sweetener alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great pure sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be used in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar enhanced composition is a source of natural dietary fiber obtained from the chicory root. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend chicory maltodextrin, pure balanced extract, chicory root dietary fiber, and all the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is now available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide.
Exonation, before we get back to our good friend Douglas DeLong, the picture that Kevin Randall, Charles Stansberg, and I were discussing, we will make available on our Facebook page. And all you have to do to see the picture and, join our Facebook page, go to www.facebook.com/XZone Radio TV. Once again, Douglas DeLong is our guest. His website is douglasdelong.com. All right, Douglas, when it comes to the reincarnation, how far back do you go when you do a past life regression?
Everybody's different. I'll have someone go back to 2,000 years ago. I've had a few people had experiences Roman times and about the time of Jesus, and I've had some go back just a lifetime before this one. So it just depends on the individual. But the ones that go back just previously to this one, sometimes they can get more detailed information. They can get objective evidence, much as their birth dates, where they were born, where they lived. I had one fellow who went back to the lifetime before this, and he described his home, and he described when he moved to Calgary, and what his business was, and also the type of ring he wore, and just went into great detail. He even talked about going up on the roof and fixing the antenna so you could watch the hockey game, and he even described the address where he lived. And then at the end, he talked about him having a heart attack, and he's dying in the hospital in Calgary, and his son Bobby's there holding his hand. So when he finished, I guess they scared the hell out of him. He never came back. But the thing is, if he had checked it out, he could have found out his birth certificate, all sorts of information. And freaky thing is, he could have probably checked it out and found his son now, or his son that was the person that was son then now. And it would have been an interesting experience for him. He even talked about drinking orange knee-high pop in Ontario, which was, he wouldn't have known about it, not unless you grew up in that time period. Talked about the type of car he had. It was really quite interesting.
Do more women or men come to you for past life regression? And which sex do you find is most interested in reincarnation?
I find it's females. Ladies come to me probably 4-to-1 ratio, and I'll get a few men come, but the ladies seem to be more interested. And somehow, I don't know whether it's the way they work with their brain or their emotions, but a lot of them go very, very deep, very easily. Not all men do that, but I find they seem to be more interested in reincarnation.
Now, when you're doing past life regression, have you ever gone and done someone who is not from this planet?
I've had a few, not too many. It's been rare, but I've had, I think, 2 or 3 that went back in time. And one fellow went back and seemed to be around like he was on Mars or something. He described Mars. It was very similar to what it is here on Earth, but it had a little bit of a reddish hue to it. And he talked about how Mars was destroyed. But that's the one I had that I remember mostly, and there's a couple others. But most people, they either go to a past life in this on this planet.
What would happen if you're doing a past life regression, and I don't know if this has happened to you yet, and what you do is you enter a very evil stage of this person's past life? How do you deal with that?
Well, I just worked through it, and I've had a few people where they were killers. They had swords. They were attacking and killing a lot of people during battles and stuff, and they're quite vicious people, and I just worked them through it and eventually got them through their death scene, and they rose above the death scene. I got them to be around their angels and spiritual guides to talk to them and guide them through it, and for them to understand what they were seeing and how to handle it and let it go, and know that they're not evil now. So I've only had a few like that.
What would happen if a person has multiple personalities when you're doing a past life regression? Have you ever come across more than one person that has been played or portrayed in a certain part of their past?
I've had a few people at MPD or multi-personality disorder come to see me, and the one lady I worked with, she had one part of the session where she's somebody in a previous lifetime, and all of a sudden she switched around. She's a different person in a different lifetime, and it was just the voice changed and everything. It's quite freaky, but it does happen. But again, it's very rare. Usually when a person goes under and gets a past life information, it's fairly healthy and balanced.
What is the procedure that you use in order to put someone in a state where you can actually start regressing them through life after life after life?
Well, what I do is called a chakra flow meditation. I explain it in all my books. My first book, Ancient Teachings for Beginners, and in the second one, Ancient Healing Techniques. I go into great detail, and plus my third one, Past Lives for Beginners, covers a lot of the exercises. But the chakra flow meditation is very, very good. The person focuses on the energy flowing up and down through their body and through their chakras, and they get very, very deep into altered states, and I find that most people are very successful in getting a past life glimpse. I've probably had about 80% success rate doing the chakra flow meditation. So it's a guided meditation along with the chakra flow. And as I work with them, they can actually feel this wonderful energy flowing up and down through their body, getting them very, very relaxed. And some people will actually start the astral travel or soul travel, slip out of their body. And it's quite cool. Now, if someone does a traditional regression, they use a form of hypnotism, but one of every 3 people can be hypnotized. But when you do this, a guided meditation, and you add on something like the chakra flow meditation, the success rate goes way up. And I find I'm more successful doing it that way.
Why is that? Why the difference in the success rate?
Well, they feel like they're in control. If you're being hypnotized in the clinical office, you don't feel quite as comfortable. It's a little more formal. When you do the guided meditation, they feel like they have some control over it. And when you're using the chakra flow, the energy literally comes through the top, the crown, the head, and it flows through the body, through the chakras, through the spinal column, and it sends in this energy, and it goes through, and it helps release endorphins to make you feel better, lightheaded, and it does so many things. So it has a physiological effect on the human being too.
That's very interesting. That is very interesting. Now, when you regress someone, are they aware of their surrounding? Are they aware that they're with you and that this is a regressive experience that they're going through?
Yeah, some people are, depending how deep they go. I've had some people I get jealous of because they can sit in the reclining chair and bang, they're gone. And they literally relive the past life. They see, feel, hear it, and experience it. And they're not even aware of being in the room with me. They're gone. They're right there. They're smelling all sorts of things, feeling the fear and having it come through very strongly. Some people go there and they actually, like they're looking at it like a movie or a TV screen. And some people, they'll feel, hear, or smell stuff, and yet they still know they're in the room. It's almost like they're here in a relaxed, altered state. They can hear my voice guiding them, but they can see or feel something going on. So if they're in 2 places at once. So it just depends how deep a person goes. I've had people, they go like really, really deep, and they're just right there.
Do you see any physical changes that manifest, or changes in their voice, changes in their posture?
Yeah, a lot of people will get very, very relaxed. I'll see an energy because I can see lights and colors, the aura around people. I'll see an energy start to show around the head, through the body. I'll see light start to come down through. And sometimes I'll be looking at the face, and all of a sudden I can see the eyes of their angel and the facial features of the angel looking at me. And I know that they're really deep and the angel's working with them. And then I'll hear some people, their voices change. I've had people speak in different languages, and sometimes they have accents. So it's quite interesting.
Really?
I've had quite a fascinating thing. Someone speaks with a southern accent like they live in Texas or someplace, and yet they're from somewhere in Canada. So it's quite interesting. And I've had people have English accents.
Have you ever
recalling a life when they're in London?
Have you ever had a person who switches to a different language altogether?
Yeah, I've had a few do that. And, a few of them I couldn't quite tell whether they're speaking Latin or Aramaic, or one person I think it may have been Aramaic, and they're just fascinating to hear that. And occasionally I'll get a person speak Spanish.
Fascinating. Douglas, you and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exo Nation, Douglas DeLong is our special guest, and Douglas and his wife Carol operate the DeLong Ancient Mystery School, where they teach courses in spiritual and psychic development, ancient healing techniques, past life therapy training, and Reiki. They also deliver a menu of personal services and travel throughout North America and Hawaii teaching these courses. The DeLong Ancient Mystery School has received students from all over the world. For more information, visit their website, www.douglasdelong.com. That's DOUGLASDELONG.com. And Douglas and I return on the other side of this news. So whatever you do, don't go away, because you know what? We'll be right back.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology. Celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond. How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com. The ability to access the knowledge of the universe is much easier for us to access than we may believe. Brad Johnson, Conscious Matrix Communicator, is one of these unique individuals who is able to access a strong connection to the universal mind. Through his connection, Brad has assisted thousands of clients from all over the world through natural intuitive assistance. The intuitive information received is vast, covering a wide range of subjects. Brad's innate ability includes being able to access one's own universal matrix to help them realize their potential to create a life of profound greatness. One-on-one private sessions with Brad Johnson are available to anyone from around the world. Brad is also a proficiently trained psychic, Akashic Records reader, an online spiritual teacher, founder of his own unique and powerful healing system, Body Regeneration Healing, as well as a professional conscious channeler in communication with his own higher self-consciousness known as Adronis. For more information or to book a service appointment with Brad Johnson, visit his website at www.consciousmatrix.com. That's www.consciousmatrix.com. Or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com.
And welcome back, one and all. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Douglas DeLong is our special guest. www.douglasdelong.com. Don't forget, tonight from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock, right after the X-Zone, I will be doing a special presentation of some of the very first news reports about the Roswell crash going back to 1947, and we will have one of the very first radio interviews with Kenneth Arnold going back to June the 25th, 1947. Then we will be playing two special features, one by CBS Radio and one by ABC Radio, both in search of basically flying saucers. That's tonight between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And then from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock, we have the best of from the X-Zone Vault. We will be featuring Doug Elwell talking about the mysterious world. And we will also be talking to Jason Valente about his Bigfoot or Sasquatch research. That's tonight here on the X-Zone, or this morning here on the X-Zone. With yours truly, Rob McConnell. You can listen to us either on X-Zone Broadcast Network, that's xzbn.net, or on TalkStream Live. Douglas, so we were talking about reincarnation before we went to the break, and as a facilitator, what do you find is the most exciting part of what you do?
I think I find the most exciting part is the healing that goes on with someone. Some people have a divine revelation. They'll have profound impressions, thoughts come through, and a lot of times they'll get some physical or emotional healing, or they'll just understand something in this lifetime, what the problem was before that came through, and now they've passed it. And it's really cool to see the healing that goes on, and when they're talking afterwards, how they make sense to them, everything comes into play properly. Right. So it's really cool when that happens. So again, it's probably the emotional and a lot of times the physical healing that ends up coming through after a person's had a past life session.
What has been the most astonishing or the most frightening thing that has happened to you while you're doing a past life regression session?
Well, I had one lady, she ended up singing in a beautiful angelic voice. I don't know if it was some type of language that the angels sing, and she was just moving her hands. It was just the most incredible thing to have happen. It was just amazing. So, and then she got up and started to dance around and had all these movements with her hands. It was just one of the most amazing things. Her voice was just beautiful, and I have no idea what language she was singing in, but it was just one of the most beautiful, fascinating things I've ever seen.
Would this be one of the major differences between, we're getting feedback from your speakers, Douglas, are the fact that you use a different technique to regress someone other than hypnosis, is this what allows the people to get up and dance and move their hands?
Yeah, because I'm not doing standard hypnotism, chakra flow meditation. They go very, very deep, and sometimes they astral travel, or their angels will come through, or they just have amazing things happen. So there's a little more freedom there, and they seem to have amazing results.
Now, do the people who are being regressed have full recall of their session once they are brought back from the session?
Yeah, everybody does, except one fellow I worked with once. He's now an Anglican priest. Came to see me. He was tired, and he laid down on the bed, and he started talking. And he kept on talking as I was guiding him. And he went through, and he had this past life where he was in Herculaneum, at just before Mount Vesuvius erupted. And he talked about the eruption and everything happening, and how he went running down to the beach and into the boathouses to get away from the heat and protection. All of a sudden he says, wow, it's the explosion, it's terrible, I can feel the heat, and that's how he died. And later on they had a show called In the Shadow of Vesuvius on National Geographic, talked about all these bodies that they found in these boathouses in Herculaneum. And when he came out of the session, he opened his eyes and said, oh geez, Doug, sorry I fell asleep. So he didn't remember anything, but it was vivid. For me, it was like I was there with a video camera watching everything unfold. It was just amazing.
Unreal.
And he didn't remember a single thing about it. And he knew nothing about Roman history back then, but he talked about who the governor was. Governor was Titus back then, and who his father was, the emperor. So he detailed a lot of information that he didn't know about. It was quite amazing.
You teach courses with your wife, Carol. What are some of the courses that you teach, Douglas?
Well, I do teach a past life therapy course. I'll get a person once in a while that'll come to see me for one. And I teach them how to do regression work, very similar to what I do. Part of it is getting them to learn how to do chakra flow meditation on the person across from them, and being able to sense or see the aura, and using their voice in a very special way to guide them into an altered state. So that's one of the courses I teach. Carol does a lot of Reiki courses. She even teaches Reiki master courses to people. And sometimes we'll use Skype or phone for sessions. And we used to teach, occasionally we still do now, psychic spiritual classes, getting people to open up their psychic abilities, being able to talk to angels and guides, and seeing auras. So that's all part of what we do.
How long are these courses, and are they online, or do people actually come to your location for these courses?
Well, we do have one or two online. They can order the courses, and I've had it by correspondence. I'll send the information out. And then sometimes a person will have a class with me when they come here, or else we use Skype and phone as part of it. Or a lot of people actually come for the classes. And mostly we do it with people coming here. Sometimes we'll go to places. We haven't gone in a long time, but we used to go to Hawaii. We'd get to Sedona and into Vancouver and other places to teach classes. But mostly people come here for the classes that we offer.
And how many times a year do you offer these courses?
About 3 or 4 times a year. I haven't put anything on the website. I just ask people to contact us, phone or email, and we usually set something up. Carol gets someone on the phone or email her, and she'll set up and do Reiki first, second degree, and even the Reiki master classes with individuals. And she's really, really good at it. She also, when she does Reiki, she's teaching them how to work with angels and guides and working with the chakras. So she puts all of it into her Reiki classes.
And how large are your classes?
Well, we keep them small. The most I've done is 8 people in the class, and same as Carol. So we usually do anywhere from 1 to 2 or 3 or 4 people. We like to keep them small. Sometimes with the individualized classes, they seem to work quite well. Or I might have a mother and daughter come to see us for a class. So it's really cool.
Do you also have classes that are geared towards the younger people?
Oh, yeah. What I do is I get some of the younger people to work at opening up their abilities, working with angels. I've had some parents that brought their kids, and I've taught them certain techniques to be able to see auras and be able to communicate with angels and guides.
When it comes to working with children, why do you think children are more open to angels, talking to their invisible friends?
Well, with kids, their brains are still open. They haven't closed areas of their brain up. As you get a certain age, sometimes there's a part of the brain, the pineal gland, starts to dry up around the area. It calcifies, and it closes up the psychic and spiritual abilities. But a lot of kids still have that area wide open. They can see auras, they can hear their guides and angels talking to them and even seeing them. And when they get around 12 years old, it slowly starts to change, but you can work at getting them to keep their abilities open. I have a lot of parents that have brought their kids for classes to teach them to be able to actually keep their psychic abilities open and their spiritual abilities flowing.
What should a parent do, Douglas, if they are confronted or a child brings them a story about them speaking to angels or seeing angels or having invisible friends? How should a parent react to this if the parent is not in tune with what might be going on?
Well, I think the parents should keep an open mind and just listen to what they're saying and know that there's a good chance that they're telling the truth, and be able to actually ask a few questions and maybe even get them to take a class or two that my wife and I offer. And I do techniques to help them keep their pineal and pituitary glands open, which affect the crown and third eye chakras, and get them to be able to work with their angels and keep their abilities flowing through.
So how can we help people to keep the veil lifted so that they can better understand and better communicate using their God-given psychic gifts?
Well, I teach a lot of techniques in my classes, but also have my newest book, Past Lives for Beginners, that has a lot of techniques and exercises that show people how to open up their gifts and abilities and keep it flowing through. So that's an idea. If you get a chance, you can buy my book, Past Lives for Beginners. That helps a lot. You can always contact me by phone or by Skype and email and go from there. So there's a lot of great exercises that you can use to keep your abilities. One of them is a chant I oftentimes do in classes and sessions, even over the radio, where I send the sound out, the chant, the vibration. It affects the crown and the third eye chakras, and they get a vibration flowing through the body. They can feel it particularly in the head, and that helps open up the crown, get the endorphins flowing, and it's really cool. That's one technique.
When it comes to children, once again, should parents be careful how they deal with anything that the child comes to them with in confidence about the paranormal, whether it be the monster in the closet, the monster under the bed, or the visualization of spirits and entities?
They should keep their minds open, as I was saying earlier, and just listen to their kid and see where the kid's going, and recognize a lot of times that it's just their gifts that they had, and not to make fun of it and try to say that it's not real. And if they can just keep their minds open to what their kids are saying and doing, and knowing that there's a chance that the child has a lot of gifts, a lot of abilities, and they should work at trying to keep their child's third eye open and their gifts flowing through. So when they're adults, they'll be able to use it effectively to help themselves and others.
I've got a question for you from Amanda, our producer in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Her question is, can a demon ever trick a child? And the second part of the question is, when should a parent be concerned?
Very rarely will a child have a demon or some negative spirit come at them. I've had older kids when they'll have a negative spirit come towards them, and it starts to influence their aura, gets inside their brain, starts to get them to think suicidal thoughts. That will happen occasionally, but if you can do the chant, I have my book, May Chant, and if you can ask for angels and guides to help you, and just doing energy work in your room, making it feel peaceful and loving, and asking for angels and beings of love and light to come, the chances are that won't happen. So if you're careful what you do, then you can protect yourself and have the child protected from the devil, or not the devil, but demons. Now, sometimes if someone's speaking, swearing, and having all weird language come out of them, there's a chance there's some type of negative spirit, or if you want to call it a demon, around them. And you have to work at asking for their angels to come around them. And if you can get the crown open up and getting the energy flow through, it'll cleanse the aura off around them and pull the negativity out, and then the angels start flowing around them.
All right, so what is the real danger? Is there a danger when dealing with the paranormal, or is the danger actually caused by the person themselves in the fear that they may have?
I think it's the second part, where people have a fear, and they would pull it in if they're negative, unhappy, if they're taking drugs or they're drinking. Right. They can sometimes pull in the negative stuff. But if they're careful, they're loving and kind, they pull in the nice energy in the room where they are, and they raise their vibrations, doing the chakra flow meditation, getting the energy up really high, and asking for their angels to come around them, then they're protected and it will never happen. I've had a few experiences when I've had something negative come through, but mostly when you do this work, if you do it properly, you're safe and things will flow. Just ask for your angels and God, the creator above, to help.
What about Ouija boards? Should people stay away from them, or is a Ouija board just another piece of paper with a planchette that people actually provoke, or not provoke, but utilize for their own manifestations within themselves?
Well, I think of a Ouija board as somebody opening up the front door onto the street and just inviting anybody into their house. I don't know who it is that's coming in. So when you play with a Ouija board, you can be pulling in, you don't know who's coming through. And now, if you're really good at, as a medium, being able to work with angels and guides, you can sense and feel them. You don't need a Ouija board. You can actually hear them, see them, and it's very much better that way. But just by doing those techniques, and I've met several people that are really true mediums. They can see angels and guides. They can talk to loved ones that have passed over, and they're very, very good at it. And why would they want to revert to Ouija board, doing it slowly, trying to spell stuff out, when they can actually hear, see, and feel the person coming through them?
I would imagine that there's a lot of hype and a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the use of a Ouija board. Kids like to dabble in the paranormal, the occult. They watch too much TV and they get the wrong idea of what is actually involved with the paranormal and parapsychology.
Yeah, they do that. When I was a kid, I got involved with Ouija boards, and they really, really do work. You're sitting there, all of a sudden they move on their own, and they're spelling things, and it can be freaky. But if you can rise above that, be able to communicate with your own angels and guides, why would you want to go down doing that? But because a lot of kids particularly, will watch all these horror shows, they get the wrong ideas, and they get fearful, and it can influence them.
All right, Douglas, please stand by, my friend. You and I have to take our final break for this segment and the final break for tonight's show. Douglas DeLong is our guest, www.douglasdelong.com, and we'll both be back here in the X Zone as we continue broadcasting from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net, and on TalkStreamLive.com.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com. Back in Victorian England, a famous theologian posed a perplexing riddle. Why are the two top personalities in the Bible tagged with the numbers 7 and 11? Academics agree the answer is found in the stunning discovery of a hitherto secret Bible structure explained in a new book called The Genesis Grid. The discovery is so simple that preschool children could illustrate it. Certain claims are hugely controversial and may offend some, but at the X-Zone, we've studied this awesome new book and agree with one expert, and I quote, "These discoveries appear to be beyond coincidence." So who or what hid this wonderful pattern in the Bible, and what might they do next? Find out more, X-Zone Nation, and read reviews on www.genesisgrid.co.uk. That's www.genesisgrid.co.uk. Named one of the world's greatest psychics, Elizabeth Joyce is now giving readings worldwide via Skype. Elizabeth Joyce is recognized for her clairvoyant ability to help find missing persons, her analysis of dreams, past life regression work, mediumship, and her accurate predictions. Elizabeth has been a frequent guest on the X-Zone radio show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, now for several years. For an appointment with Elizabeth Joyce, call 201-934-8986 or Skype at elizabeth.joyce. And for more information, you can always visit Elizabeth Joyce online at www.new-visions.com. Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
And welcome back. Douglas DeLong is our special guest this hour, www.douglasdelong.com. But I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight. In our first hour, Dan Valkos joined us. And in hour number 2, we had Charles Stansberg and Kevin Randall discussing the photograph that Charles it was in possession of after he did an investigation of sheep mutilation. And we were able to get the photo over to Kevin, and he was able to see some anomalies that could be interpreted or described as an extraterrestrial in the photograph and a portal. So we're going to be doing a thorough investigation on that photograph. And my guest this hour, as I said, is Douglas DeLong. And Doug, always great talking to you. Have you seen many changes in the way that people are coming to you? And I shouldn't say many ways that they come to you, but for many different reasons that you have seen over the years?
Oh, yeah, it's changed. It used to be curiosity, people trying to develop their psychic abilities, but I get more and more people looking at affecting their spirituality, opening up their gifts, their abilities, getting past life recall. And a lot of people want to learn how to meditate, being able to work with chakras, and being able to go to the Akashic Records. I get a lot of clients that come in here, and I train them to go up to the Universal Library or the Akashic Records to access all their knowledge and wisdom. Sometimes that's the technique I'll use for them to get past life recall. So astral travel, Akashic record work. Yeah, people will come for all sorts of things, more and more of the spiritual side of it now.
The world is in dire need of a lot of positive hopes, a lot of positive prayers, and a lot of goodwill from everyone. How can people who are listening tonight protect themselves from all the other negativity that is out there and that may be causing havoc in their lives?
Well, using the power of the mind, thinking positively, every morning getting up and thinking all the blessings you have in your life, releasing that thought to the universe, just thinking, saying positive words, and allowing it to flow. As you change the brainwave patterns, becoming more positive, your auric field changes, gets brighter too. And when you release that with love out from your heart, you can actually affect people and energy around you and make positive, dramatic changes. When more people do that, then we'll get away from the negativity. And I'll see a lot of people have these beautiful, bright auras around them.
Right.
And they seem to be able to draw more positive things towards them. As they're being positive, they have financial things flow easier towards them. And things seem better when they're being positive. Because the power of the mind has a tremendous ability to influence and affect things around us. So if you're thinking positively, changing how you think in the better manner, things will come together much easier.
Douglas, we have to say so long for tonight, but I do want to thank you so much for joining us. Give my very best to Carol, and I look forward to the next time that you join us here in the X Zone.
Great. Thank you for having me on the show. It was great.
Take care, my friend. Bye-bye now. X Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Douglas DeLong, www.douglasdelong.com. Well, that's it for tonight, X Zone Nation. I'll be back tomorrow night for the regular show between 11 and 2 a.m. Stand by and stay tuned in for the special 2-hour carry-on that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be playing early radio reports of UFOs, including an interview with Kenneth Arnold, as well as the very first radio report about the Roswell disc. I'm Rob McConnell, and I'll see you on the other side as we go directly into our programming. From everyone here to everyone out there, thank you so much for listening, and always keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.